Yes, sir.
Okay. In the previous class, okay, we have discussed about two different types of gear, spur gear and helical gear. Okay, and now in today's class, we'll discuss about one more type of gear, that is a worm gear. Okay, the gear which you are seeing on the screen is a worm gear. Okay, what do you mean by this worm gear? As already you have studied about helical gear, the worm gear is similar to the crossed helical gears. Okay, in this case, it consists of a pinion, or it is also called as worm. Okay, has a smaller number of teeth. Here you can see that this is called as pinion or worm. It is having a smaller number of teeth. Here you can see that, and usually it will be having four number of teeth, and its mating gear. This is called as mating gear, and this we are going to call it as a worm gear or worm wheel. This is worm, and this is worm gear or worm wheel. And these worm gears are going to be used, okay, to transmit the power between non-parallel and non-intersecting shaft. Okay, worm gears are going to transmit power between non-intersecting and non-parallel. Here you can see that it is a non-parallel and it is not. It is a non-intersecting. Okay, these are used to transmit power when you have a non-parallel and non-intersecting shafts. At that time, you can go for a worm gear. This is about the worm gear, and basically in worm gear, okay, they're going to use two types of gear drives. One is single enveloping. This is single enveloping gear, and this is a double enveloping gear. Here you can see that this is the figure which I have taken it from your data and book. Okay, this is a single enveloping worm gear, and this is a double enveloping worm gear drive. Okay, we'll discuss what do you mean by this single enveloping gear and what do you mean by this double enveloping gear. Usually this single enveloping worm gas, okay, uses cylindrical worms. It is going to use the cylindrical worms. Okay, these are the cylindrical worms to mesh with the throated teeth, of the wheel. This is the gear wheel. These are used for cylindrical worms to mesh with the throttle teeth of the worm gear or worm wheel. Okay, this is going to result in the line contact. This is the line contact between the threads of the worm and the teeth of the worm gear. This is about the single enveloping worm gear set, and this is a double enveloping worm gear set. Okay, you can see that. Which type of shape is this? Can anyone tell me whether it is a concave or convex? Whether the shape is concave or convex?
Okay.
Concave. Okay. In the double enveloping worm gear, okay, in this whatever the set, both members, okay, are throtted. Both the members are throtted and wrapped against each other. Okay, whereas in this case only single throtting is done. Okay, whereas in double enveloping gear, the worm gear set means worm gear as well as the worm gear set, both members are throtted and wrapped against each other. Okay, as a result of that, This results in the area contact between the threads of the worm. This results in the area of contact between the and threads of the worm and the teeth of the worm wheel. Okay. This is about the single and double enveloping worm gear. And the terminologies which we are going to use in the worm gear. Okay, we'll discuss one by one. Okay, the first one is a axial pitch, and this axial pitch is denoted by px. Axial pitch is denoted by px. Okay, and this axial pitch, here you can see that this is the axial pitch. Okay, the axial pitch is nothing but the distance between the point on one thread. This is the point on one thread to the corresponding point on the next worm thread. You have to see the worm thread. It is the distance between point on. Here you can see that axial pitch is nothing but it is a distance between point on one thread to the corresponding point on the next thread of the worm. Okay, and this axial pitch of the worm gear is equal to the circular pitch of the worm wheel. Whatever this px is there, okay, axial pitch of the worm gear, it is equal to the circular pitch of the worm gear. Okay, while solving the problem, I will tell you where you are going to use this axial pitch. And after that, the next one is the lead. And this lead is denoted by small l. Okay, this lead is denoted by small l, and this lead is nothing but the axial advance of the helix. Lead is nothing but it is the axial advance of the helix from one complete turn. Okay, as what you call that when the worm takes one complete turn, that is one, as the axial advances. Okay, the helix, whatever helix is there, the helix one complete turn is equal to the number of the threads times the axial pitch. I hope you understood this. The lead is nothing but the axial advance of the helix from one complete turn, and is equal to the number of threads times the axial pitch. Okay, therefore this L is equal to into px. Okay, z1 is number of teeth on the worm. Okay, into px is nothing but the axial pitch. Okay, and at axial pitch is denoted by pi into m. M is nothing but the module. Okay, now substitute the value of axial pitch here. Therefore, lead will be z1 into pi m. Okay, this equation is there in your data and book. Okay, and that equation is 12.46b. It is 12.46b. Therefore, lead is equal to pi m into z1. This equation is there in your data book, that is 12.46b. And the next one is the lead angle. You can see that this is the lead angle. This is the lead angle. Okay, and that lead angle is denoted by gamma. Lead angle is denoted by gamma. And how you are going to find out the lead angle, or before finding this lead angle, you need to understand what do you mean by this lead angle gamma. Okay, and this lead angle is nothing but it is the angle between the tangential. You can see that it is the angle between the tangent on the thread and the plane of rotation of the worm. This is the plane of rotation of the worm. This angle is nothing but lead angle. Once again, I'll repeat. It is the angle between the tangent of the thread. This is the tangent of the thread and plane of rotation of the worm. You can see that this is the plane of rotation of worm, and this angle is called as lead angle. Okay, how to calculate that lead angle? Okay, it is there in equation 12.46. Equation 12.46 is tan gamma is equal to L is nothing but lead divided by pi d1. This equation is 12.46 E. After that, the next is the helix angle. And this helix angle is denoted by beta. Already you know about this helix angle. OK, here you can see that this is a beta is the helix angle. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by this helix angle? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by helix angle? See here, this helix angle is nothing but this is the axis of the worm. OK, helix angle is nothing but it is the angle between the tangent of the thread. It is the angle between the tangent of the thread and the axis of the worm. OK, that is going to give the angle beta. From this, you are going to get the angle beta. And when you are going to add this beta plus lead angle, OK, gamma, this total angle will be 90 degree. That is beta plus gamma is equal to 90. And once you are going to calculate the lead angle, OK, you can use this equation to calculate the beta. Beta plus gamma is equal to 90 degree. If you see here, this is the tangent and this is the axis of the worm wheel. OK, this angle is 90. Therefore, beta, this is beta plus gamma will give you 90 degree. Once you calculate this lead angle, you're going to get the helix angle. And after that, the next one is velocity ratio. And you know that velocity already we have used this in spur gear as well as helical gear. OK, velocity ratio is nothing but it will not depend on the diameter, but it will depends on the number of teeth and angular velocity of the worm or the worm wheel. Depends upon the worm or worm wheel, but it will not depend upon the diameter. Velocity ratio doesn't depend on the diameters, but it is going to depend upon the number of teeth and the angular velocity of the worm and the worm gear. OK, and this velocity ratio you can calculate. OK, when the number of teeth on the worm or the worm gear is given. OK, or speed is given. OK, this you can use equation 12.48. You can open equation 12.48. Equation 12.48. In your data handbook, Balvi Reddy, open equation 12.48. Okay, from that you are going to get the velocity ratio. After this, next is diametral quotient. Okay, and this diametral quotient is denoted by Q. This diametral quotient is denoted by Q. And this diametrical quotient is the ratio of pitch circle diameter of the worm and the module. It is the ratio of pitch circle diameter of the worm and the module. How to calculate this diametrical quotient? It is the ratio of pitch circle diameter. Pitch circle diameter is nothing but T1 to the module M, and this is there in your data and book. It is 12.49. Okay, from that you can take down this diametral quotient, and the next one is the center distance. Okay, and this center distance is denoted by A. Okay, center distance is denoted by A, and it is the mean of D1 plus D2 divided by 2. Okay, and if in the problem center distance is given, and you can calculate the pitch circle diameter, that is D1, and from that easily can calculate the D2. Okay, these are the terminologies which we are going to use in the worm gear. And while designing the worm gear, how the worm gear is going to be specified. Okay, a pair of worm gear is specified and designated by 4 quantities in the following manner. Okay, they will mention this. Z1 is nothing but number of starts of worm. Okay, here you can see that in this how many number of starts are there in the worm, and Z2 is nothing but number of teeth on the worm. How many number of teeth are there in the worm gear or worm wheel, and this is Z1. From this you are going to get the Z1. Okay, Z2 is number of teeth on the worm wheel, and Q is nothing but diametral quotient. Okay, which you are going to calculate from the ratio of pitch circle diameter to the module. From that you will get that Q value, and M is nothing but the module. Okay. These are the terminologies as well as how the pair of the worm gear is specified and it is designated. Okay, if you have any doubts in this, you can ask. Otherwise, we can proceed with the how the designing should be done. Do you have any doubts?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Now we'll see the formulas which we are going to use for the designing of the worm gear. Okay, as already you know, that is whatever the velocity ratio is there, I. Okay, all these formulas you know, and after that, Libby's form factor formula also you all of you know. Why? Because already we have solved two types of gears. Okay, now what I will do is I am going to directly jump into the worm gear strength. Why? Because previous whatever the steps are there, it is similar to that of the helical gear. Okay, and whichever is required for the worm gear design. Okay, that is the worm gear strength. Okay, that is the FT. How you are going to calculate and which equations you need to use. I will write that simultaneously. You can note down the equations. And in spur gear as well as helical gear. Okay, while designing that, uh, you have done the designing on the weaker member. Okay, whereas always in the worm gear, the teeth on the worm gears are always weaker. You can note down that. Always in the worm gear design. Okay, the teeth on the worm gear are always weaker than the worm. Otherwise, I will show you here. Here you can see that whatever the teeth on the worm wheel or worm gear are there, these are weaker than the gears on the worm. Okay, that's why the designing is done on the weaker member. Which is the weaker member? That is the worm wheel. Okay, and always in designing of the worm gear, you should design according to the worm gear. Okay, first one is to calculate the strength factor. Okay, how you are going to calculate that? You can open equation 12.53a, equation 12.53a, that is strength of the worm gear teeth. Okay, the permissible tooth, that is load according to the Levy's equation. Whether you opened the equation. Okay, in today's class, I will not show the data handbook PDF. Why? Because some of you are not carrying the data handbook. Okay, otherwise, if you don't open the data handbook, you will not understand. That's why purposely today I'm not showing the data handbook. All of you need to open the data handbook and check the equation. Otherwise, you are not going to understand. Use the strength of the worm gear teeth, equation 12.53 for the permissible tooth load according to the Levy's equation. Okay, can anyone tell me what is that? Therefore, Ft is equal to, it is sigma d into Cv, sigma d into Cv.
dy divided by P.
Yes. Therefore, Ft is equal to sigma d Cv into B is nothing but the phase width into capital Y is nothing but pi into Levy's factor into module. From this equation, okay, from this equation you can calculate that value. Therefore, this is equation 12.53a. once you are going to get the worm gear teeth, that is strength of the worm gear teeth. Okay, after that, in this case, you may not knowing the value of FT. Okay, can anyone tell me how to calculate the FT value? FT is equal to, FT is nothing but the what you call that, permissible tangential load. How to calculate the permissible tangential load? How to calculate the permissible tangential load? It is 2 times MTE divided by divided by D2. Okay, this equation is there in your data and book. Okay, you can use that equation. Can anyone tell me where is that equation?
12.53D.
Yes, 12.53D. This is 12.53D equation. Okay, use this equation and calculate the FT, that is the permissible tangential load, which you can calculate using this equation. Okay, after finding the permissible tangential load, next is you need to find out the dynamic strength of the gear. It is given below that only. Correct? All of you getting that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The dynamic okay, next you need to calculate the dynamic strength of the gear. Use the equation 12.54. That is Fs is equal to sigma D into B. I think I am facing some problem with this. Okay. Fs is equal to sigma D into B by M. Okay, this is equation 12.54. Use the equation 12.54. Okay, using that you can calculate the dynamic strength of the gear. Okay, after finding the dynamic strength of the gear, next you need to calculate the wear load. Okay, and that wear load formula is there in equation 12.62. That is page number 227. All of you open that page number 227. After finding Fs after finding that value, note down the wear load formula. For wear load is Fw is equal to D2BK. Okay, this is equation 12.62a. Okay, equation 12.62a. It has to be D2. Okay, D2B into K, where K, you can see that below that only they have given how to calculate the K. K is the load stress factor from table 12.30. Okay, from that table 12.30 you can calculate that. Okay, while solving the problem I'll tell you how to note down that K value. Okay, already I think this you are not done. Okay, you will be doing it now. Okay, I will tell you how to note down the K value while solving the problem. After that, next is you need to calculate the efficiency of the worm. Okay, how to calculate the efficiency of the worm. The efficiency of the worm gear, which you are going to get in equation 12.57p. That is a previous page. Page number 225 you can open page number 225. Okay, you can see that equation 12.57b is there. You have to use the equation efficiency is equal to, okay, cos theta minus mu tan gamma divided by cos theta plus mu cot gamma. Okay, this is equation 12.57b. Okay, this equation you have to use when the worm gear drives the worm wheel. Okay, you have to use this equation when worm drives the worm wheel. Okay, and you have to use equation 12.57c when the worm gear drives the worm. You have to use the next equation 12.57 C when the worm gear drives the worm. Okay, almost the equation is same, only the difference is in place of tan gamma it is cot theta, and in place of cot theta it is tan gamma. This is equation 12.57. You can note on that only, just I will write 12.57c here. Tan gamma, instead of tan gamma, cot gamma is there. Instead of cot gamma it is tan gamma. Okay, this is to find out the efficiency of the worm. And after that, next as both the gas made, okay, lot of heat will be generated. Okay, you need to calculate the heat generated and heat dissipated. Okay, by using equation 12.63a. Okay, you can see that equation 12.23a, it is nothing but the amount of heat generated. Okay, how to calculate that amount of heat generated? Okay, amount of heat generated, it is Q. Q is equal to mu into Fn into Vr divided by cos gamma. This is equation 12.63a. 12.63a. This is equation 12.63a. And while solving the problem, I will tell you how to calculate this Fn. Fn is nothing but the force normal to the tooth surface, and its unit is Newton. how to calculate that and how to take down the mu also I will tell you. This is heat generated and next is amount of heat dissipated. Depending upon that, how much amount of heat is going to be dissipated, depending upon that, whether we require artificial cooling for this or not, we will come to know. OK, and to calculate this, we can use equation 12.63b. 12.63b. OK, from that you are going to get the value. It is 1000. Oh, sorry, this is the other equation. Q is equal to equation 12.63c. It is 0.407 divided by 10 raised to 3 into Ag plus AW and T2 minus T1. This is equation 12.63b. Sorry, not B, it is C. This is C. OK, these are the equations which we are going to use for the designing of the worm gear. OK. If you have any doubts in this, you can ask me. Do you have any doubts in this? Any one of you speak? You don't have any doubts? No, everything is clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
OK. Now you can join back in another 5 minutes. OK, we can continue the class. Now I'm going to end this. You can join back at now it is 9:45. Means you can join back at 10 o'clock. OK, and exactly at 10 I'm going to start the class. I'm going to take down the problem on this.